Hello and welcome back to video lecture on R microcontroller and embedded system. In this video, I am going to cover the topics of module 3. Here we'll discuss the communication interface topic, and this communication interface is nothing but how we are going to provide the communication between the different components present in an embedded system. Interface is nothing but media or channel through which we connect two or more than two things present in an embedded system. In the communication interface, there are two types. One is the onboard communication interface and another one is the external communication interface. This onboard communication interface is also called as a device or board level communication interface, whereas external communication interface is called as a product level communication interface. Embedded product is a combination of different types of components that are arranged on a PCB. The communication channel which interconnects the various components within an embedded system are called as a device or board or onboard communication interface. In the communication, there are two types. One is the serial communication, other one is the parallel communication. The serial communication examples are I2C, SPI, UART, one wire, and etc. Whereas parallel communication are and parallel communication are there. These I2C, SPI, UART and one wire we will be discussing in detail in the next session. Certain embedded systems may be a part of a large distributed system and they require interaction and data transfer between various devices and sub-modules, and these are responsible for data transfer between the embedded system and other devices, hence they are called as a product level communication interface. And the external communication interface can be either a wired communication or wireless communication. As I told, can be a serial or can be a parallel. Examples are infrared, Bluetooth, wireless, LAN, radio frequency waves, GPRS, 3G, 4G, LTE, that is VoLTE, are the wireless communication interface examples. RS-232, RS-422, RS-485, USB, Ethernet, IEEE, parallel port, CF2 interface, SDIO, PCMCIA, there are the examples of wired interface. Let me begin with the first type of communication interface, that is onboard. As I have told, this interface is used for communicating between the different components within an embedded system. Some of the examples of onboard communication interface are inter-integrated circuit, I2C bus, serial peripheral interface bus, SPI, universal asynchronous receiver transmitter, UART, one wire interface and parallel interface. In this video, we are going to cover the points of these things. Let me begin with the first onboard communication interface, that is I2C, inter-integrated circuit. It is a synchronous bidirectional half duplex. What do you mean by synchronous? The communication between two devices is done with the help of clock signals. Bidirectional in the sense, bi stands for the two. So two-way communication takes place, that is from source to the destination or from the destination to the source. But both things cannot happen at a time. Only one-way communication is possible, that is from the source to the destination or from the destination to the source. And this involves this is a two-wire serial interface. And to have inter-integrated circuit bus communication, we need to have two wires. First, let me show you the diagram, then we'll discuss the points about that. See, this is the diagram. We have master device and we have slave devices. Two slave devices are shown, and the connection between master and slave devices is done by the help of two wires, and those two wires are HCL wire, SDA wire. SCL stands for serial clock line, SDA stands for serial data line. SDA of master is connected to the SDA of slave. SCL of master is connected to the SCL of slave. As I said, the two lines are SCL serial clock line, SDA serial data line. SCL line is responsible for generating the clock pulses and SDA line is responsible for transmitting the data serially across the devices. This I2C bus is a shared bus system. It means that many number of I2C devices can be connected to this bus. Here, I2C bus can act as a master, and the devices connected to I2C bus can act as a master device or the slave device. Master device is responsible for controlling the communication by initiating or terminating the data transfer, sending the data, and generating necessary synchronization clock pulses. Slave devices wait for the commands from the master, then responds to those. Master is acting as a transmitter or receiver. Synchronization clock pulse is generated by the master device only. It means that slave device cannot generate the clock pulses. I2C supports multi-masters on the same bus. It supports 5 operating speeds. Standard mode, wherein data rate is up to 100 kilobits per second. Fast mode, data rate is 400 kilobit per second. Fast mode plus, where data rate is 1 megabit per second. High speed mode, where the data rate is 3.4 megabit per second. And the last one, ultra fast mode, that is data rate is up to 5 megabit per second. The sequence of operations for communicating with an I2C device, or you can say I2C slave device, are listed below. Master device pulls the SCL signal line to high pulse. Then master device pulls the SDA line to low to indicate start of the data transfer. Master device sends the address, that is MSB of the data, 7-bit or 10-bit wide, to the slave, that is address of the slave device, over the SDA line. The master device sends a read or write bit to the slave, where if bit value is equal to 1, it indicates the read operation. If the bit value is equal to 0, it indicates the write operation. Master waits for the acknowledgement from the slave device. The slave device with the address requested by the master device responds by sending an acknowledge bit, that is bit value 1, over the SDA line. Master sends the 8-bit data to the slave device over SDA line. If the requested operation is write to device, if the requested operation is read from device, then slave device sends data to the master over the SDA line. After that, master device waits for the acknowledgement from the slave device. And if the transfer is complete for the write operation, and sends an acknowledgement to the slave device for a read operation. Master device terminates the transfer by pulling the SDA line high when the clock is high. Then we'll move on to the second type of onboard communication interface, that is serial peripheral interface, abbreviated as SPI bus. It is a synchronous. It means that transmitting data and receiving data between the two devices happens with respect to clock pulse. It is a bidirectional, from source to the destination, from destination to source the data can be transferred. It is a full duplex in the sense both the transfer can happen at a single time. It is a 4-wire, means 4 wires are used to perform the communication, and is a single master multi-slave system. It means that out of many devices connected to this bus, only one system can act as one device can act as a master, remaining devices can act as a slave. And the 4 signals are master out, slave in. This is the signal line carrying the data from the master device to the slave device. This is also called as a slave input or slave data in. Second wire is master in, slave out, MISO. This is a signal line carrying the data from the slave to the master. It is also known as slave output, slave data out. Third wire is serial clock. This is a signal line carrying the clock signals. Last one is slave select. It is a signal line for the slave device select. It is a active low signal. Look at the figure. We have master device, we have slave devices. The connection between the master device and slave devices is done with the help of 4 lines. You can see MISO master in slave out, SCL serial clock, MOSI master out serial input, SS that is slave select. Master device generates the clock signal and selects the required slave signal by asserting the slave device's slave select signal low. The slave devices, when not selected, their pins are having high impedance state. And this SPI bus is fully configurable. It means it contains a control register for holding the configuration parameters such as master slave selection, baud rate selection, communication, clock signal control, whether the least significant bit or the most significant bit of the data is to be sent first. It also has status register to hold the various conditions for the transmission and reception status. This SPI works on the principle of shift register. There master and slave device contain a special shift register for the data to transmit or receiver. The size of this shift register is 8-bit or the multiples of 8-bit. During the transmission, the data that is from master to the slave, data in the master shift register is shifted out to the MOSI pin and it enters the shift registers of the slave device through the MOSI pin of the slave device. If the data transfer is from receiver to the transmitter, then data is shifted out from the slave device's shift registers, enters the shift registers of the master device through the MISO pin. It means that the shift registers of master and slave devices form a circular shift. It means that the data which goes from the master enters the slave and the data which goes from slave enters the master's shift register. And this type of serial communication bus is suitable for applications where transfer of data in streams. And the limitation of this bus is it does not support an acknowledgement mechanism. Then we have third type of communication, that is universal asynchronous receiver and transmitter, abbreviated as UART. It is asynchronous in the sense the transmission is not with respect to clock signals. It does not require clock signal. Then there is a predefined agreement between the transmitting device and the receiving device, and the agreement is having communication settings such as baud rate, in the sense how many bits are transmitted per second, then number of bits per byte, how many bits we are transmitting per byte, then whether we are adding parity bit or not, and how many start bits and stop bits we are adding. The start and stop of communication is indicated by inserting special bits. A start bit is first added, then data is sent, then stop bit is added at the end of the thing. In the data, least significant bit is sent after the start bit. Here the receiver device starts polling its receive line as per the baud rate setting. For example, if the baud rate is x bits per second, then the time slot available for the 1 bit is 1 by x seconds. The receiver in it or device receives at exactly half of the time slot available for the bit. If parity is enabled, it adds a parity bit in the transmission, adds value 1 for the odd number of ones and adds value 0 for the even number of ones. If receiver device after receiving the data calculates the parity of the bit received and compares it with the received parity bit for error checking. After that, it will discard the start bit, it will discard the stop bit, and it will discard the parity bit also. After receiving that data serially, it will convert it back into a byte or word. Then for the proper communication, transmit line of the sending device should be connected to the receive line of the receiving device, as shown in the figure. See here, we have 2 UART devices. Only 2 wires are required for the communication, that are TXD transmitting line, RXD receiving line. The TXD of one device should be connected to the RxD of the other device, and RxD of this device should be connected to the TXT of that device. This UART provides hardware handshaking signal support for the serial data flow. Then we have next type of onboard communication interface called one wire interface. It is asynchronous, means communication takes place without the clock pulses. Half duplex, from source to destination, from destination to source communication takes place, but not both at a time. It makes use of a single line called DQ, and it follows the master-slave communication model. You look at the diagram where I have master device and slave devices. The connection between master and slave devices is by only one pin, that is called as a DQ. Here it allows power to be sent along the signal wire, and one wire slave devices are having internal capacitor of the value 800 picofarad, that is to send the power to along the signal line. It supports single master, one or more slave devices. Here every one wire device contains a global unique 64-bit identification number that can be used for addressing individual devices, and this identifier is having three parts, that is 8-bit family code, 48-bit serial number, and 8-bit cyclic redundancy check. The sequence of operation is given as below. Master device sends a reset pulse, slave device responds by presence pulse. Master device sends a ROM command, that is net address command, followed by the 8-bit address of the device. Master device sends a read or write function command to read or write the internal memory or register of the slave device. Now master initiates the read data or write data. See, the communication is master initiated and it is divided into time slot of 60 microseconds for the regular speed mode, that is 16.3 kilobits per second. The reset pulse occupies 8 time slots, and reset pulse is made low for at least for 8 time slot, that is 480 milliseconds by the master device. If the slave device is ready for the communication, it should respond with the presence pulse within 60 milliseconds after the reset pulse, and this presence pulse is made low for a minimum of 1 time slot. For writing a bit value of 1, master pulls the bus for 1 to 15 milliseconds, then release the bus for the rest of the time slot. If a bit value of 0 is to be written, then master pulls the bus for a minimum of 1 time slot, that is 60 milliseconds, and a maximum of 2 time slots. To read a bit from the slave device, master pulls the bus low for 1 to 15 milliseconds. If the slave wants to send a bit value 1, and it releases the bus for the rest of the time slot. If the slave wants to send a bit value 0, then it pulls the bus low for the rest of the time slots. Then we'll move on to the next type of onboard communication interface, which is parallel interface. This parallel interface is used for communicating with the peripheral devices which are memory mapped. Here we are having host processor or controller which contains a parallel bus, and the device which supports parallel bus can directly connect to this bus. Parallel bus is controlled by the control signal interface, means control signals such as read, write, and the device select signal. Here device contains a device select line, and device become active only when that select line is asserted. The direction of data transfer, that is either from the host to device or from device to host, is controlled by the control signal lines, that is read or write. For example, if it is a write, data flows from host to the device. If it is a read, then data flows from device to the host. Here only the host processor has control over the read or write control signals. The device is normally memory mapped to the host processor and a range of addresses assigned to it. Address decoder we are using to generate the chip select bit, and the decoder circuit activates the chip select, thereby device become active. Processor then sends the read control or write control to transfer the data or to receive the data by making its read or write control signal. If the device wants to initiate the communication, then it has to inform to the processor through the interrupts. Means the interrupt line of the device is connected to the interrupt line of the processor, and the corresponding interrupt is enabled in the host process. The width of this bus may be 4-bit, 8-bit, 16-bit, 32-bit, or 64-bit. It means that 4 bits will be transferred at a time, 8 bits will be transferred at a time, 16-bit will be transferred at a time, 32-bit will be transferred at a time, and 64-bit will be transferred at a time. Bus width supported by both host and the slave should be the same, and parallel communication offers the highest speed for data transfer. Look at the figure where you can see the host device and the slave device, or you can say the host and peripheral device. You can see the address decoder circuit. A0 to AY minus 1 of host are connected to address decoder circuit, and only one connection is made between the address decoder circuit and the CS. Address sent by the host will make the chip select of the peripheral. Then we can see the data bus to transfer the data between these two devices. Then you can see the control signals read or write to receive the data and to read the data. So this is all about onboard communication interface. The remaining external communication interface will take up in the next video. Thank you.